So tonight I am so pleased to welcome our District Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Austen Canonica. The path of leadership is one with many obstacles and opportunities. Distinguished Toastmaster Austen Canonica will briefly share his experience as a leader in Toastmasters and how feedback has played a pivotal role in his growth and development. His speech is titled, "So, you think you can lead and communicate effectively?" Please help me welcome Austen Canonica.
Growing up, you could have caught me at any given time playing baseball. I absolutely love the sport. My schedule was chock-a-block full of nothing but baseball. I lived it, I breathed it, I practically ate baseball. As often as I could, I would get my friends together for pickup games and organize them. Many times you'd catch me playing by myself, just throwing a ball against the wall well into the darkness of night. I played competitively as well until one day a ball struck me in the back during a practice and I became afraid of getting hit by the ball. I tried to play a few games, but the fear was just there. I didn't think I would ever overcome it. And one day I reluctantly, as a boy, went to my father and I told him, "Dad, I don't want to play baseball anymore." He knew this was absurd because I loved baseball more than anything and I was pretty good. He used what I recognize now as a coercive form of leadership, and he let me know, if you stop playing baseball, I'll take your allowance away. This was extreme, but he knew again how much I loved the sport and how good I was. But despite him trying to convince me to keep playing, that coercive style of leadership made me want to go farther and farther away from the sport that I loved. Eventually, through my adolescence, I decided I'm not afraid anymore. I want to play. And I attempted to play baseball competitively, but I never got accepted on any of the teams. I kept getting cut during the tryouts. Finally, my sophomore year of high school, I tried out, and I had an outstanding tryout, but it was told by the coach that I would not be selected to be on the team. I was dejected. And at school, one of my friends, Ryan, came up to me, and he asked me, "How did the tryout go?" I let him know I did not make the baseball team. He said, "Forget the baseball team. You should come play lacrosse." I said, "Lacrosse? My sister plays that sport. It seems really fun, but I don't know if I'll be accepted on the team." He said, "This group is very accepting. Somebody reached out to me a week ago and I'm on the team. You join us, you'll be on the team and you'll have a lot of fun." So I traded in my leather for a lacrosse stick and I started playing. Well, I've never played before and I was not very good at all. One of the captains on the team, his name was Ryan Shell. He was a mountain of a man. He ran like a gazelle, and he had the ferocity and tenacity of a heavyweight champion boxer. This is a guy that you don't want to be on his bad side, and you want him on your team. Ryan led by example, and he also had a servant leadership mentality that he would do anything for the team. In one particular practice, I was struggling so badly that the coach told me, "Get out of the drill. You're slowing everyone down. Learn how to throw." So I'm on the side of practicing, feeling really silly and inadequate. And Ryan came up to me. I was afraid. I hadn't had many one-on-one conversations with him. I was afraid that he may put me down or tell me to get out of here, make fun of me. But instead, he took the time to take off his helmet and he said, I think I know what you're doing. You just got to pull with your bottom hand and push with your top hand. And if you do that over and over and over again, you'll make perfect passes." I never forgot Ryan's servant leadership style. And I told myself, I want to be a captain of this lacrosse team someday. I want to be a leader that people could look up to. Fast forward to my senior year, I did pretty well. And I went to my coach. There was a vacancy for a captain spot. I said, "Coach Calby, I would love the honor to be one of the captains of this lacrosse team." Though I really wanted to be anointed with the title without having to ask for it, I recognized a expression that I had heard many times in my life: a closed mouth never gets fed. And that made me learn that in order to be a leader, you need to communicate your aspirations and your goals. Otherwise, those in your team may not understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. It took some time, but eventually I was named captain of the team. And it was one of the greatest accomplishments that I had ever had to that point. At the end of the season, I was pleasantly surprised to be anointed as the most valuable player of my lacrosse team that year. And we did pretty well. If you check my stats, I didn't score the most goals. I didn't provide the most assists. I didn't save because I wasn't a goalie. I didn't save any shots. I didn't have any defense. I didn't have the most defensive takeaways. But the intangibles of my leadership style is really why I was voted by my peers as most valuable. It wasn't that I was the best player on the field, but I had some of the best leadership traits. I was coaching the younger players. I was leading by example in all of our drills. I was respectful to our coaching staff and our other players, alma mater. That taught me a lot about myself. Through that journey of team sports, I recognized that my leadership style is one of team collaboration. And that's what I've translated really into all other facets of my life to this point. I've learned through playing competitive team sports that I could really exude some of those leadership characteristics that I've always aspired from people that I've looked up to. Once I joined Toastmasters, I recognized this is a great forum for me to practice my leadership skills. While on the surface, Toastmasters is most known for communication and overcoming that fear that everyone has of public speaking, the mantra or slogan of the international organization is, "Where leaders are made." And for those of you that are involved, you recognize that while you may have joined for speaking, you stick around because of the leadership component that is inherently involved with Toastmasters. I have a question for you. Can any of you name a leader that's effective that cannot communicate? It's a tough question. You may not love somebody's communication style, but I guarantee you that if they're a quality leader, they can probably communicate fairly effectively. My leadership style is one where I recognize that communication, listening, receiving feedback, and providing feedback to others, communicating that mission, the values, the goals, is a critical component of leadership. I've learned that coercive leadership and holding people accountable so much so to where you make them afraid, that's not for me. I don't respond well to that, and that's not the type of leader that I want to be. I also recognize that servant leadership can be tough. There could be days where you feel like I'm giving. When am I going to have somebody give something back to me? There are a lot of thankless moments. But through servant leadership, through team collaboration, and especially through communication, I've found that I've been able to develop lifelong relationships that'll last me well beyond my years, leaving a legacy for those that are beyond. What's your leadership style? How do you like to follow, and how do you aspire to lead? The more we could introspectively think about our leadership style and observe the leadership styles of those around us, theoretically, the better off our outcomes will be when we're working individually and on teams. And you never know. At the end of your journey, you may just get an MVP trophy of your own, or maybe a DTM. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day. I guess now I go into question and answer. But that's how I wanted to end my speech. So if anyone has any questions, I would be or comments. If you want to throw some virtual tomatoes at me, that's fine as well. Valerie, Division Director.
Austen, I'm not going to throw tomatoes at you. I'm going to ask you, would you tell us a little about how you regard delegation in your leadership skills?
That's a great question. This is something that I've struggled with because I'm a doer, and it's not that I'm so type A to where I don't trust other people to get things done. I just know that what I'm capable of, and I'm comfortable in actually doing tasks. What I've found, though, taking leadership roles is that it's impossible to do everything on your own, just like a sport. I can't play the entire sport by myself. I need to fulfill my role and ensure that everyone else is doing their role. So I take delegation seriously, and I try to start by setting a relationship and talking through what our goals are. Anytime I delegate a task to somebody, I don't just give them a task, or anytime I delegate, I don't give people just tasks. I let them know what the goal is and what our strategy is going to be, and then let them develop their own tactics or tasks in how to get it done. Work in progress, but I value delegation a great deal. And some of my greatest leadership moments have been when the team is just working so well together. Everyone knows their role, they're comfortable, and they're executing. And just, I've had moments that have brought me to tears of joy because of teams that I've been on that have just done so well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Direct, please.
Mr. Guest Speaker, what would you say to a brand new person who is dealing with fear of public speaking? However, it's required for them to speak a lot at work. what would you say to that person who is considering Toastmaster as an option to improve in that scale?
That's an excellent question. What I say is Toastmasters is like a playground where there are no bullies. It's the perfect forum for you to practice your public speaking without having fear of being judged or put down by others. It's such a positive and supportive environment that it really is the perfect place for you to overcome the fear of public speaking, because this is a group that's not going to put you down or chastise you or judge you in a negative way at all. Everyone in Toastmasters wants to see you succeed. They're going to give you their feedback. They're going to pat you on the back. No matter what happens, they're going to give you an applause, which is always nice. And the way I'll say it, a lot of people with public speaking run away from the stage. Toastmasters are the crazy ones that are running toward the stage. And in your career, if you can set yourself apart from your colleagues and other potential candidates because you are willing to speak in public and you do a pretty good job at doing it, you will continue to differentiate yourself from competition, and you can ensure a level of job security, because when they need a guest speaker, when they need someone to deliver a presentation, the majority of people are going to very comfortably slouch down in their seat and try to hide, and you'll be right there. Hey, I'm willing to speak in public. So there are just so many benefits to speaking in public, and I'm a firm believer that Toastmasters is a perfect forum to do that. Janice, I have less than 30 seconds, but I'd love to hear what your question was, and perhaps I could follow up with you afterward. You're muted. You're still muted, Janice. Sorry. I'm going to get clapped off now. I can't hear you.
She's working on unmuting.
Okay. Well,
right,
what I would,
Janice?
for the sake of time, what I'll propose is if anyone wants to type up, oh, there you go, Janice.
I can just write it in the chat.
Okay, yeah. Please do, please do. But thank you again so much for having me as a guest speaker. I'm willing to hang around after the meeting and chat with anyone that would like. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to message me. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Austen.